Good evening and welcome. Tonight we're going to be flipping through this book about Finland. Sorry that the title's covered up by the barcode here, but it is about Finland. We're going to look at all the pictures and read all the little boxes. So let's just dive right in. Enjoying some berries, looks like maybe some cloudberries. There's a sauna, really like synonymous with Finnish culture. There's a big old map of Finland. Helsinki's cut off, but whatevs. Let's see, we've got the Aurora Borealis here, the Northern Lights. And let's read this box. It says, when to see the midnight sun. Visitors to Finland are assured of seeing the midnight sun between May 17th and June 25th. At the peak of summer in northern Finland, the sun is above the horizon 24 hours a day. In Utsjoki, the northernmost municipality of Finland and the European Union, the longest summer day occurs over a 2-month period. Even in southern Finland, there is no complete darkness during the night. The long evening twilight merges with an equally long morning dawn. That reminds me of massive apologies for any mispronunciations in this video. Finnish is a very strange language. I've done my best. Here's Helsinki, the capital city, big famous cathedral right there. And here's a box about Finland's pinnipeds. Pinnipeds are better known by their common English name, seals. In Finland, many species of seals dot the icy waters of the coast. 4 seal species are native to the country and can be found there year-round. But the lake seal and the Sauna ringed seal in particular are the rarest pinnipeds in Finland. These inland seals were forced to adapt to freshwater lakes thousands of years ago when the lakes were cut off from the ocean. Found in Lake Saima, Finland's largest lake, the Saima ringed seal is among the most endangered seal species in the world. They number only 320 and are found only in Lake Saima. Finland works hard to protect these seal species and proudly featured the Saima ringed seal on its 5-marka coin before it adopted the euro as its currency in 2002. Sweet little card here. There's a very old castle here. It says it's Lavinlina Castle. It's very pretty. We've got King Gustavus Adolphus, who was a wild, crazy guy from Sweden and made Finland part of Sweden, part of his legacy. And the Swedes, when they controlled Finland, built this big fort. This is Suomenlinna Fort in Helsinki. We've got Alexander I, Russian Tsar, who I believed he was the one that absorbed Finland into the Russian Empire. During the Winter War, Finland fighting Russia, the USSR. Let's read about Urho Kekkonen. I hope that's how you say his name. Urho Kekkonen, architect of Finland's modern destiny. In the 1950s, as Finland emerged from the shadows of the Soviet Union and took charge of its own destiny, there was one man who helped chart its future, Urho Kekkonen. He was a key figure in rebuilding the economy and maintaining the course of neutrality advocated by Paasikivi, a stand that became known as the Paasikivi-Kekkonen line. It was a policy that the country followed for the next 2 decades, allowing it to be friendly with nations in both the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and the Warsaw Pact. He was one of the architects of the modern Finnish state and a very shrewd politician. Kekkonen was Finland's longest-serving president from 1958 to 1981 and was previously prime minister for 2 terms from 1950 to 1956. He was succeeded by Mauno Koivisto, who also adopted the active neutrality stance. It's the presidential palace in Helsinki. It's very yellow, isn't it? Here's the president of Finland, Niinistö. Oh, there's a box over here. I didn't even see it. Why did Finland adopt a new constitution? Finland took 80 years to overhaul its 1919 constitution. Why did it take so long? The answer is simply because there was no pressure or need to do so, especially when the Finnish system allowed the use of acceptive laws to make amendments to its constitution to suit the times. In 1995, some changes were made to the constitution pertaining to basic rights. It was around this time, especially with Finland's integration into the European Union, that the process of significant constitutional reform began. After all, most of the EU member states' constitutions were contained in one single constitutional act, whereas Finland's constitution had several acts. Also, there was a need to streamline procedures in keeping with those of other EU member states. Politics, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Results of the April 5th, 2015 general election. How exciting. Let's read this box. It says presidential elections. On March 1st, 2012, Sauli Niinistö was elected president of Finland. Previous to his presidency, Niinistö was Minister of Finance and Speaker of the Parliament. As the National Coalition Party candidate, Niinistö is Finland's first conservative president since 1956. He won against the Green League candidate with 62.6% of the vote in the second round of voting. Previously, Niinistö had ran against Tarja Halonen, the incumbent president, in 2006. She won by 3.6% in an incredibly close race. In order for political parties to submit candidates for the election, they must give proof of having more than 20,000 supporters. The president must be a native-born Finn. The party must also have had at least one member of parliament elected in the most recent parliamentary election. The election itself consists of 2 rounds. In the first round, if one candidate were to receive more than half the vote, they would automatically win. If this is not the case, which it normally isn't, the second round of voting begins. The 2 candidates who won the most votes in the previous round are presented, and the one with the most votes wins the presidency. All Finnish citizens above the age of 18 have the right to vote. Once elected, the president takes office on March 1st for a 6-year term. The president can serve for only 2 consecutive terms. The Holland Islands. The Åland archipelago, comprising over 6,500 islands and skerries, lies sandwiched between Sweden and Finland. Only 65 islands are inhabited, and they support a total population of some 26,800. The capital and only large town is Mariehamn. The demilitarized Åland Islands enjoy a special position for historical reasons. Since 1856, at the time of the Crimean War, the islands are recognized under international law as an unfortified area. Most of its people are traditionally Swedish-speaking. The islands have been largely autonomous since 1920, a status that was reaffirmed in 1951 and again in 1993 when the Act on the Autonomy of Åland was passed by the Parliament of Finland on January 1st. The governor is the highest official, and he represents the government of Finland in Åland. The islands also have their own provincial parliament with 30 members who are chosen in a general election every 4 years. The parliament has to approve any change in or repeal of laws of a constitutional nature and legislates all matters that pertain to Åland. A government body with up to 8 members, headed by a chairman who is elected by Parliament, carries out the administration of the Holland Islands. It is assisted by a regional civil service and 6 departments. And here's a picture of the Parliament right there. Very fancy. Why Finland has no king? Of the 5 Nordic countries, which are Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Iceland, the first 3 are kingdoms. Finland and Iceland are republics. However, there are traces of a kingdom style of rule in the Finnish constitution, which gives a great deal of authority to its president. The Finnish president wields considerably greater power than the monarchs of Sweden, Great Britain, and the Netherlands. The Finnish president also has greater tangible power than the presidents of many other republics. Still, in spite of the president's strong position, Finland is a democratic country in the Nordic tradition. Who's still awake now? These are really boring boxes. Let's read an even more boring box about Finland's multi-party system. Oh boy. You see, I love world history. I love learning about other countries and stuff. It's this stuff that just doesn't do it for me. Let's see. Unlike in the United States, in Finland, many political parties vie for votes during a general election. This means that it is often very difficult for one political party to dominate the government. In fact, in Finland's history, nearly every government in modern times has been a coalition government, which means that one political party shares its power with another party. There is a long list of political parties that dominated at one point during Finnish history before disappearing. Many new political parties splinter off from established parties with new platforms, although there are sometimes single-issue parties that campaign on only one issue. The 3 largest political parties are the Centre Party, or CP, the Social Democratic Party, or SDP, and the National Coalition Party, or NCP. These political parties have dominated the political scene for over 50 years, although always as part of coalition governments. While the more liberal SDP garners its support from the urban working class, white-collar workers, and professionals, the CP typically represents more rural interests. The conservative NCP has long developed ties with the business community. One of the latest major political parties to gain large political clout is the environmentalist Green League, which was formed in 1989. The Green League opposes capitalist systems that endanger the environment. From 1995 to 2002, the Green League formed part of the governing coalition. In 2015, the Finns Party, previously known as the True Finns, gained significant ground. A nationalist party that argues for strong immigration policies, it came in 3rd behind the NC and SDP in a shocking rise in popularity. Some political analysts view the rise of this largely anti-immigration party as a sign of the times, due to an economic downturn and a steady stream of refugees entering the country. And politics is not it for me. I love world peace, and I feel like many politicians don't. So, I'm not a politics person. Here's the Supreme Court building. Here is the Marca before they used the euro. There's some trees being logged here. And like, yes, that's very sad, but Finland has like a lot of trees, and from what I understand, it's a pretty sustainable industry. There's lots of replanting and stuff. See, here's a pulp factory where they make paper. They're building a metro line here. And here is Helsinki International Airport. A new calling, this says. Nokia was long Finland's biggest success story. In 2010, Nokia remained the leading corporation by sales in Finland, with more than 58.72 billion US dollars in sales. When Microsoft bought Nokia's mobile device division in 2014, many thought this was the end of the quintessentially Finnish company, but not so fast. Despite its recent troubles in the mobile devices sector, and yes, that's how we say it in America, Nokia is poised to grow in strength due to investments in new technologies, such as virtual reality systems. According to many people in the town of Nokia, this is part of their people's and their corporation's strength. Although Nokia gained fame as a producer of mobile phones, it only did this for 20 years. Nokia was long able to adapt to different consumer needs and technologies, and the Finns believe that the company will continue to do so. Virtual reality systems are one avenue that the company has spent funding on, as well as GPS map systems. That's good to hear. Nokia phones were wonderful back in the early 2000s. Beautiful scenery here. Blue waters and lush green grasses. It looks very marshy. There's this big national park that I have no idea how to pronounce. Not even gonna try that. The shoreline here in Helsinki. And here's a box that says, "What is every man's right?" It's a big deal in most of Scandinavia. Every man's right is the Finnish tradition of public access rights to the country's lands. This means that even if an area is privately owned, foreigners and Finns alike can use the area freely as long as they do not damage the environment or disturb others around them. Every man's rights include being able to walk, ski, or bike over any land, except if it is a private garden or cultivated area where plants may be damaged. The right to pick wild berries, mushrooms, and flowers anywhere, and the ability to stay for a short period of time in any outside area, as long as you do not disturb residents. This means that Finns can pitch tents in almost any park, forest, or other location for an overnight camping trip. If you're an American like me and can't wrap your head around this, just don't worry about it. It's like the complete opposite in America. Can't do anything like that anywhere around. It sounds very freeing and lovely. There's a beautiful person here with typical blonde hair, blue eyes. Many Scandinavian people have that feature. Some Sami people. There are reindeer here. That's a cool picture. Up in Lapland. And here's a great picture of Sami traditional clothes. Looks very cozy. And doing a midsummer's dance. Traditional clothes as well. Beautiful ribbons and aprons. Like that. Enjoying a festival out here. A nice sunny day in Finland. Picking some flowers there. They're showing a traditional Finnish family. And it says this person's out probably berry picking or mushroom picking. Again, you're just allowed to do that. You cannot go to like a forested area in America and just pick whatever you want and get to keep it. That's like a huge no-no. But in Finland, it's whatever. You get to do whatever. There's a picture here of a very happy lady out in nature. And let's read about young Finns. The Finns enjoy one of the best educational systems in the world, as well as being a country with one of the best standards of life. But despite this, many young Finns are leaving their country and seeking opportunities elsewhere. According to recent statistics, 9,600 Finns between the ages of 20 and 34 left the country in 2015, an increase of about 1,000 people from 2010. However, the largest emigration took place in 2011 when close to 11,000 Finns left the country during the height of the economic crisis. Experts state this is due to EU laws in which it is easy to explore different countries to live and work there. Many Finns eventually move back home. Oh my gosh, look at this chubby baby. Very, very cute. And she's working hard in school here. And a very sweet looking old lady. Alright, here is Helsinki Cathedral, probably the most famous religious structure in Finland. And we've got traditional Finnish architecture on this church here. Which, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. It certainly does. Let's read about bringing the Protestant Reformation home. One man is credited with bringing Lutheranism back to Finland. Sent to study in Wittenberg, Germany in 1536 by the Bishop of Turku, Mikhail Agricola studied under Protestant reformer Martin Luther. Famously, Martin Luther had critiqued the Catholic Church by sending his 95 Theses to the Archbishop of Mons in 1517. Returning back home to Turku in 1539, Agricola began his position as rector of the Turku school. Spreading news of Lutheranism and his critiques of the Catholic Church, Agricola taught many students. He was elected Bishop of Turku in 1554 and became the first Lutheran bishop in Finland. Due to this one man's efforts, Lutheranism became the main religion in Finland early on in the history of Protestantism. There he is. That's the statue. And John III of Sweden. Oh my goodness, look at this man's beard. Yikes. Anyway, moving on. Another really pretty cathedral. This is an Orthodox cathedral in Helsinki. And let's see. I guess this is the synod voting to allow same-sex couples to have equal rights, which is great. Language. So this is showing how you have Finnish, and I assume Swedish. And Sami, it says, and English on these signs here. So everyone can be safe on that. Let's read about Tova Johnson, creator of the Moomins. One of Finland's best-known writers is Tova Johnson. Her books about little trolls and their adventures in Moominland are favorites among children in Scandinavia and have even gained a following in Japan. It's huge in Japan. Although Jansson's stories are for children, they often address grown-up themes like the Cold War or facing a midlife crisis. She was awarded the Hans Christian Andersen Award in 1966 for her contributions to children's literature. Jansson, whose father was a sculptor and mother an illustrator, was also an accomplished painter. A member of the Finnish-Swedish minority, her books were originally written in Swedish and have been translated into 33 languages. They are the most translated works of Finnish literature after the Kalivala and books by Mikko Waltari. A theme park devoted to the Moomin exists outside Naantali near Turku. I'm going to have to go there someday. Who doesn't love Moomins? Here's a scene from the Kalivala. I'm pretty sure there's a box about it coming up. I'll read more about the Kalivala. Here it is. I called it. Kalivala and Elias Lundgrot. Kalivala is recognized as Finland's national epic poem. It was compiled from Finnish folklore by Elias Lundgrot, who recorded the folklore from rune singers. The work took several years to finish and represents the first written collection of Finnish folk poetry. Lundgrot was born into a poor family in a small village west of Helsinki. He learned to read at home and only started school when he was 12. He went on to study medicine and became a doctor, but his passion was collecting Finnish folk songs. It was in the early 1830s that he had the idea of compiling a series of miniature epics based on the exploits of heroes such as Vainamoinen, who were featured in folk poems. His compilation was published in 1833 as the Proto-Kalivala. In 1834, Lundgrot was granted a scholarship to travel and collect more folklore. The result was Old Kalivala, published in 1835. As time went on, Lundgrot gathered even more material, and all these were compiled into the second edition Kalivala, which appeared in 1849 and has since been considered the foundation of Finnish culture. The new Kalivala has 50 cantos, a canto being a main division of a long poem. It stimulated interest in Finland and Finnish history, and later became a symbol in the drive for national independence. The epic has been translated into 43 languages and is the best known work of Finnish literature. Lundgrot collected much of his material in Karelia, where rune singers can still be found today. His work was a boost to the local arts. It sparked interest in the systematic collection of folk poetry, a task that is now undertaken by the Folklore Archive of the Finnish Literature Society, the biggest of its kind in the world. And here's the opening lines of the Kalivala translated into English. It says, "I have a good mind, take into my head, to start off singing, begin reciting, reeling off a tale of kin and singing a tale of kind. The words unfreeze in my mouth, and the phrases are tumbling upon my tongue, they scramble along my teeth, they scatter." I'm sure it sounds better, one as a song and two in Finnish, right? Let's read about Finland's metal mass. Finland is known for its composers, its architecture, and its avant-garde design, but it is also known for its heavy metal. In fact, the country is so taken with this musical genre that Finns can go to church for a metal mass. Called metallimessu in Finnish, the metal mass pairs heavy metal music with biblical verses and lyrics. It is combined with aspects of a traditional mass, including a sermon and the Eucharist. The first metal mass occurred in 2006 at the Tuska Metal Music Festival in Helsinki. After a metal mass bus famously toured the country, bringing these new Lutheran services to teens across Finland. Many older Finns dislike these new masses. However, it is a way for churches to bring in younger members and a unique way to combine the Finns' love of heavy metal with the country's traditional Lutheranism. I think it sounds awesome. Let's see, there's Jean Sibelius, a very, very famous composer. Did, let's see, Finlandia. What's the most famous one he did? There's like a big one. I can't think of what it's called. The big famous one. I can't remember it. And I don't see it in the book here. Anyway, maybe I just said it. I can't remember anyway. Traditional Karelian house, which is really charming, isn't it? And this guy's made a really Art Nouveau statue of a famous runner. They're about to go skiing up in the mountains. They're wandering around with their dog in the literal middle of nowhere. We are racing these horses, and you can see it's a special way they have of racing where they sit in these carts and the horses pull them. It says it's the second most attended sport in Finland. But let's read about the Finnish sauna. If there's one single item that is quintessentially Finnish, it is the sauna. The sauna was traditionally used as a kind of bathhouse. When people lived in forests, they had a log cabin where they could keep a fire going to keep warm, relax, and wash themselves. Babies were also born in the sauna, as it was warm. And when houses had no shower or bathrooms, a weekly visit to the sauna was the only way to keep clean. Today, the sauna has endured. Even though present-day homes are equipped with modern bathrooms, it is still a tradition for families and friends to get together in the sauna to relax. It has become a social ritual. Many homes have private saunas, and there is a sauna in every apartment complex. Families with second homes by the lake and those living in rural areas have a separate log cabin housing the sauna, where they gather on Saturday evenings to relax. You can see right here. Very quaint. The sauna tradition is well suited to Finland's forests, which are the source of the sauna's building materials and fuel. The traditional smoke sauna, which has no chimney, is preferred, as the heat is said to be gentler. It takes 7 hours to bring the sauna to the right temperature, and all smoke is expelled before anyone gets in. It is a tradition to jump into the lake to cool off between visits to the sauna, or to roll in the snow during the winter months. The Finns also use birch leaves to clean themselves in their sauna. It has the same effect as soap, and they hit each other with fita twigs to stimulate blood circulation and beat out tiredness from the body. After this cleansing ritual, the Finns indulge in a sauna supper. Any Finn who invites a guest to take a sauna prepares a meal, or at least coffee. While in the sauna, much salt is lost from the body due to perspiration, so salted dishes are usually served during the meal. These may include salted herring eaten with boiled potatoes, anchovies, smoked fish, sardines, or salad of salted mushrooms. Most Finnish urban homes even have their own saunas. These are small, high-tech, electric-operated saunas that heat up in a matter of minutes. I'd love to have one of those. Sounds very relaxing. A famous Olympic curler. Very intense sport. If you've never seen curling, it's a lot to take in. I know it's very, very intense. Now look at this. Here's something that I've learned recently. See, she's got a witch hat on, so you think, oh, this must be Halloween. But this is Easter. She's got her Easter basket. In Finland, they dress up in costumes on Easter, which is so backward, but that's Finland for you, right? That's their tradition. There's also this tradition. This is a sleepyhead celebration where, the last person asleep gets dunked in the water. Fun times. List of holidays there. Oh my gosh, here we go. This is an amazing slice of cheese here with some cloudberries. This sounds like heaven to me. We don't have cloudberries in the United States. I would love to try them. They look very juicy. And here is a smorgasbord. All you can eat. And then we've got some vegetable pastries, which also look really yummy. I wonder what kind of vegetables they use in their vegetable pastries. There's a recipe here for pula bread. And a really delicious looking Finnish summer soup. I love potato soups, creamy soups like that. And One last map of Finland here. You can see a little lake area here, down here in the south. But here it's much more mountainous and cold. You can see the Arctic Circle too. And here's this weird map that's always in the back of these books. Europe is always like squished somehow, but you can see Finland right there. And that is the end of our book. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. I'm going to have another book like this for you next week. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. I hope that you found this video relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good night. Good night.